people should be able to join. And the webinar is being recorded already. Hello, 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 everyone. And welcome to the ZenPilot webinar extravaganza. This is for the recording primarily because we have only got a few attendees as of right now, but they're coming in fast. Hello, Tanya, Susan, Sasho, John, Teresa. Hello, Georgina. We got Vic and a bunch of other people joining. Hello, hello, grab a seat. Digital proverbial seats, and we'll be starting in just a moment. Let's let people join in. How are you all doing? Let's test out the chat, shall we? Because I want to see if that is all working correctly. Let us know in the chat. Where are you coming from? Just a minute or two. Doing well in NC. Awesome, Susan. That's great to see. Could y'all give me a quick test if you can, in Zoom, if you can message to everyone so that the others can see that? Yeah, hello from North Macedonia. Doing fantastic in Pittsburgh. I don't know if everybody can see Jeff's message because Jeff, you sent that to host and panelists.
Whoops.
So you might need to change the settings there.
Whoops.
Illinois, Toronto, Belgium. That's so nice to see. Okay, awesome. Somebody raised their hand. Not sure how to respond to that. Lou, let us know what you would like here.
Lou, are you waving?
Be...
Are you waving, or you have a question, Lou?
Maybe. Okay. Any questions? Leave them in the Q&A. I'll talk about that at more length in just a moment. Lou said, "Click the wrong button." That happens. It is Zoom after all. All the buttons are in the weird places.
Oh, it's very important to know. I didn't test this before we started recording. Do the new Zoom emojis work in the webinar? They do.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Hello from North Carolina. Thank you. Okay, we're 2 minutes in. We've got a lot to cover today, so we're gonna get started here. Recording is on. So once again, hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on ClickUp 3.0. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. Maggie, Jeff, say hello. Share a personal secret, both of y'all, and let's get this show on the road.
A personal secret. Well, my name is Jeff Saper, and I really like The Office.
That's not a secret.
So,
no secret,
that's not a
secret to you all. You're going to see a lot of The Office stuff in my content, so if you're an Office fan, you should enjoy this. If you don't know what The Office is, then just ignore what I just said. But yeah, I'll throw it over to you, Maggie, for your secret.
Oh, hello, my name is Maggie. I'm your friendly neighborhood client coach here at ZenPilot. My secret is that I hate mayonnaise.
Yeah. And my name is Kuba, Jakub Greitzout here, content marketing manager at ZenPilot. My secret is, well, it's an open secret, but I play bass in a metal band, and everybody should check that out on my LinkedIn. All right, we're kind of 2 slides forward, but can everybody slide that? I just want to be sure. Like, am I seeing the chat? Chat, can you see the slides before we start? Waiting, message. I'm going to assume that you can't. Yes. Okay,
hi,
thank you. Dawn, Wim. Okay, thank you. So let's get this show on the road. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us here today on this webinar brought to you by ZenPilot. We're basically the #1 ClickUp solutions partner if you want to do ClickUp right for your organization. Today, we'll be talking about ClickUp 3.0. We'll be talking about all the new bells and whistles that we can cover within just a brief hour here. And we'll be talking about also some of the caveats, because what we try to do for every new functionality of ClickUp is to let our community know what's the optimal way to use each functionality, and at the same time, where the caveats might be, and we'll be covering some of that as well. So there you go. This is who will be flying with you today. Jeff Cypher, our productivity professor, Maggie Kornerens, our friendly neighborhood client coach, and I'm Jakub Greitzout, our content marketing manager. You can already go on LinkedIn and add us if you haven't yet, because we all share really nice content on the regular if you want to improve your project management and your operations. As for us, a very brief slide that I'll let you just take in for 30 seconds about ZenPilot. Our whole thing is we're helping agencies and other organizations build healthier, more productive, and more profitable teams. We're all about making work more visible, creating alignment between your teams, improving efficiency, but also kind of the key thing for me here the way I've always interpreted it is, the keyword is happier teams, healthier teams that get work done, and they can delight clients and be happy and proud of their work. Just as a teaser of, kind of where we lead agencies to, the kind of the final result and the top of the mountain we get agencies to. This is what's possible when you get ClickUp and project management and your internal data about your work when you get it right. So you might be wondering, why am I not looking at a ClickUp view? This is a Power BI view, but all built on top of ClickUp data showing, for agencies, for example, profitability per client, per service line. You can look at each account manager and the accounts that they're taking care of and analyze all sorts of data. This all becomes possible when you use ClickUp to the fullest, when you use time estimates, when you track time within ClickUp, which is what we recommend. And when you've got your tasks broken down into logical subtasks, not too big, not too small, we talk about that a lot. And this kind of data and this kind of visibility and this kind of intel about how your organization is running all becomes possible with the Zen Pilot system. But this is just the top of the mountain, kind of the end of the road for, what we're all about and where we want to lead you to. Today, we'll be looking at one slice of all of this, and that's using ClickUp 3.0 right. So here's the loose agenda for today. Take it in, everybody. I'm going to check out the chat real quick. Okay, everybody's saying hi. So this is the agenda that we arrived on for today. Ismail saying love it. Awesome. We'll be talking about the new UI enhancements in 3.0, the new task view. My particular favorite is the new inbox. That for me was already an improvement, like right off the bat when 3.0 got turned on for our workspace, which was what, half a year ago already. Yeah. We got it as one of the first in the world, because we're quite close with ClickUp themselves. We were actually historically their first solutions partner. Fun fact. So we'll be covering this. If you see anything on this list that's kind of closer to the bottom that you really care about, now would be a great time to drop that in the chat. You want us to talk more about AI. Maybe if for any reason you're really interested in dashboard enhancements, let us know, because the kind of the lower on the list, the more likely we'll have to save that for a part 2 of our presentation here today. So take it in, and with that, we're 7 minutes in. Try to make this as brief as possible. If I missed anything about kind of Zen Pilot in general, I'm sure Jeff and Maggie are going to fill that in. But with that said, let's change the slide. Let's jump into ClickUp. I'll let Jeff take over the screen sharing now. We'll start the demo and we'll start showing you all the new stuff and how to use it the best to speed up your work. Jeff, you ready?
Cool. Thanks, Scuba.
Okay, awesome.
Let me know if you can. Yeah, let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully this will screen share and we'll be all good to go. But yeah, for the majority of this session, we're going to be going over obviously ClickUp 3.0, but we can go over all the UI adjustments and things that have changed in ClickUp 3.0, but we want to talk less about what is included and more about how you can best use it to optimize your workflows and get your team working together, and sort of how teams that have come to this session can best use ClickUp 3.0 to, again, make their team more productive inside of the system. Obviously, as ClickUp says, they're one app to replace them all, and they want you to save 1 day per week. But let's talk about how we can actually save 1 day per week and get the whole team aligned within sort of the new adjustments and enhancements that we have inside of ClickUp here. So I'll go over a brief some UI things that are changed, just so you kind of are aware of them, so you can tell your team. There's a few things to take note of that might trick a few people if they haven't kind of gotten used to the new layout inside of ClickUp 3.0. The biggest one that tripped me up is actually sort of the new menu over here in terms of the sidebar and the actual viewing of spaces. So before in ClickUp 2.0, you were able to hide spaces and they would kind of just show under here within a hide spaces menu. But now you'll kind of see this. You could still hide them, but you'll see they kind of all go to this view all spaces section within inside of ClickUp. And that's a big thing to note, because some people won't see it over here and they'll get a little bit lost and they'll wonder where a space actually went. There's a chance that they just hit it and now it's showing in this view all spaces over here. So you need to make sure that you go and show it, because I can click on this process library right here and now it's going to come up in my menu on the left-hand menu. But if I go and then click out of that, it's going to disappear. And that's just because I was kind of seeing that space, but I wasn't showing it. So I need to make sure if I want to actually bring that to my left-hand menu over here, I actually go and click show just like that, because now it's actually going to be over here and it's going to stick. And then if I wanted to get rid of it, I can easily go and just hide this space like that. And then again, it's going to go back into my view all spaces section. So that's just a big thing, not a huge adjustment by any means. That's going to change up any workflows there, but just make sure your team knows that that is a change within inside of ClickUp 3.0. If they're not seeing a space over here, there's just a chance that they hit it. And now it's in view all spaces instead of what it used to look like before, where it was just your hidden spaces and your shown spaces. So that's the first thing that I'll mention. The second is obviously now you have your sort of menu and settings up here in the top right instead of the left, which it's not a big adjustment there. It's pretty similar to how it was before, just a few quick switches there. But again, just so people know, they're not going to see their little face down here in the left. It's going to be up in the top right where you can kind of go and find your settings and everything else that is included there. The other thing that's important to know is obviously sort of the new the new list view and how this is all set up. There's just an adjustment of sort of your filters and settings that you'll see at the top. You'll see you can drop this down. It's going to take up a little bit too much space. This is actually something that we're not as thrilled with in terms of how some of this looks because it takes up a little bit too much room here inside of my screen. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of nice fixes and adjustments in terms of this being sort of a more modern UI and just a little bit cleaner than it was before. As you'll see, sometimes this drops a little bit too low. Just use this arrow here or this caret to kind of move that up so you don't have to kind of see that information there where you don't actually need it. Mag, do you have something to add there?
Yeah, it's important to know that if you add a description to the list, which is possible, like Jeff just showed, by hitting that caret to pop it down, if you drop that thing down and there's actually text, several lines of text in that description, that text will remain static. And if you try and scroll through your list view to see various tasks or records, that text description stays there. It doesn't shrink as you scroll down the screen. So it's important to know if you have a list description inside of a list view, you won't see it unless you hit the caret and drop it down. If you can see your list description, it will stay there even when you start scrolling up and down through that information. So if you scroll down in a list view, that information will stay present, which can be helpful if you're using that list view to include pertinent information about getting the work done. However, like Jeff said, it's not the most user-friendly user update that they did. It's just important, like all the other stuff that we're going to talk about today, it's important to know how it works so that you can get the best use out of it.
Yeah, that's a great thing to add. So yeah, just take note of that. Obviously this caret's over here, it's kind of hidden, but just click that on and off if there is a description within that list and you'll be able to find it. The other thing that's important to note with this as well is you have a few adjustments here. Obviously the overview, which can be great. This is actually going to be at sort of every level of the hierarchy. So if I go to my delivery space here, you'll see this overview. This is great. I mean, it shows you sort of where you've been recently, as well as your docs and any resources in there, as well as the folders. This might be great for some. I don't use it as much personally, but if you want to be able to sort of navigate quickly to lists, you can kind of see the portfolio down here as it sort of is in the dashboards. It's sort of a similar UI that they have here. But it might be easy to navigate from folder to folder if you want. But again, locations are going to be there at every single level of your hierarchy. So just take note of that view is going to be there, but you'll also be able to add on your other views as well. It's just not that much of a change. You'll just take note that this is here as well.
I was curious, Jeff, do you know if an overview of a folder or a space can be custom configured for the user, or if you make changes to this overview, does it make changes for everybody in the workspace?
I believe that this operates the same as a view. So this is going to be, this is going to be sort of my recents in my docs that I've clicked on, but this is going to be sort of the same layout. I believe in the future, this is becoming more of a canvas that they're working on, that this will be editable and you can customize it to really sort of build out what you want to see as opposed to just sort of the standardization that they have here. But I believe that is kind of coming in the future for more of a canvas type layout that you can, again, choose and switch some widgets out like you can in dashboards in the new home view. And then lastly, the other thing that I'll just note you of here is that for views, as you'll see, before views could be grouped together a little bit better. Now they're all sort of spread out. However, if you want to, you can come to a location and you can groups. As you'll see, I have them grouped right there. You can ungroup them like this. I find it easier to group them together just because, as you'll see, now I have a long list of views here. I can sort of search for them and look at them this way. And as you get more and more views for your team, which I always say, standardize those, make sure you don't have too many because it can be confusing. But in this demo portal, as you can see, we have a lot here to kind of show off some things. And that's going to be a long list of views. And so you can group them by type if that's helpful. As you can see there, I can get all my list views together. I can get all my board views together. It just makes it a little bit easier and you don't have too many. Again, I always recommend with your views, if you kind of have some that are going to be, should be pinned or ones that people should kind of navigate to from the start, you'll always have your options still to default for everyone here. That's a great feature to use inside of ClickUp, because what that does is anyone that comes to the delivery space, this will be the first view that they see. So use that if this is sort of the view that you want people to see, because that's the biggest sort of thing that people get confused with inside of ClickUp is views, and they navigate to a section or a space or a folder, whatever it may be, and they don't recognize what they're looking at, but that's because they could be in a completely different view than they were the last time that they went to that location. So utilize that default for everyone. That'll kind of help with any sort of complexities or confusion across your team. It's very, very helpful to use that, as well as pinning views that are important as well. And then for your whole team, just make sure if there are views that they want to easily navigate to inside of ClickUp, they use that favorite bar as well, because I can come here and if I want to favorite this, just like this, add it to favorites, as you'll see, that pops up to my top view here. And this is also an adjustment that just changed here inside of ClickUp. This is now black, but this is my favorites bar here at the top. I can either unpin that or pin that right back up as well. So we'll go over more of that when we talk about sort of my tasks and sort of how we work in our sort of our morning routines there. But that's also important to note. Favorite views, use the default for everyone, default for home there, because that'll be super helpful for your team, especially with some of these updates inside of ClickUp.
Exactly.
Wait,
And you
but now that we've covered that, unless anyone has it.
Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to underline two things that you mentioned, Jeff, there. The default for everyone option that you've shown, that is a remedy to one of the most common issues that I find with ClickUp, on all levels of usages. I went to where you are, to the same folder, to the same list, to the same space, and I'm not seeing what you're seeing, right? So here's the option that will allow you to avoid that. And second, I remember when 3.0 first dropped and we lost the option to group views by type. It's great that this is now back in there, and it really shows that ClickUp is just receptive to feedback there, because I believe we did mention to their product team in our feedback that we're missing that, and it's back. It came back quite quickly, so great to see that. Just wanted to mention to the participants, you got any questions about this, something that's coming up that you don't want us to miss, use the Q&A option. Don't drop the questions in the chat, drop them in the Q&A. And that's all I wanted to add. Please go on, because you're delivering the goods right here.
Cool, thanks, Scuba. Let me know if I drop off at all. For some reason, my internet is acting up today, but hopefully we can kind of push through everything, all this content that we have to go
Jeff,
through.
don't worry. I will gladly take over for you, should you be eliminated from the webinar.
Thank you, Maggie.
It's my pleasure.
But the big thing to talk about today is going to be the new task view. This is one of the biggest adjustments that we see inside of ClickUp 3.0. It's super helpful for your team, especially when it comes to communication and collaboration across the organization. There's a bit of a setup component of when it comes to actually using this to its full potential. If you've gone through and watched any of our other content, we always recommend that the way that you build out sort of your tasks is to have a parent task and a subtask structure, where your parent tasks will become, as you can see in this example, this is my deliverable that we're doing. In this case, this is being done for Shroot Farms. And then the subtasks that are here are basically the action steps that are necessary to complete this deliverable. If this were a project, the parent task will become sort of milestones or phases within that project, and all the subtasks will become sort of the steps that are necessary to complete that milestone or that phase within a project as well. So this is super important to note as I jump into sort of this new task view feature inside of ClickUp. So as we'll come here, I'll click into, let me find a good example. I'll go to this blog post for Dunder Mifflin. As you'll see, this is the new way that the task view is laid out. There's a few changes here. Some of it is pretty similar. There's just probably a few things that have moved. A big thing to note is sort of the way that these are laid out here in terms of your details, which are going to be your custom fields, Your subtasks will be here and action items. So that way they're sort of toggled and you click on or off one of these. That way it's not all just a long list of your custom fields, your subtasks, and anything else in this. So they kind of did a great job of sort of breaking those up so it's easier to navigate across those. In addition, you'll sort of see all of your other ways to link out to docs, to show dependencies, to show sort of other things that are connected, whether it's in ClickUp or in a different platform. You'll see all of that in the right. In addition, what you are able to do, you can also switch the layout from default to full screen to sidebar. If you like the sidebar like that, you can leave that here, and then you can also sort of see inside of your ClickUp workspace. I don't like to be distracted like that. I highly recommend that you either do full screen or default. I like default. That way it's kind of just zoomed in like this. Full screen sometimes, I don't know, I just don't like it as much, but it's really not that much different. But anyways, the big reason that this is important is because now it is so much easier to navigate from a subtask to your parent task and sort of see everything that's going on within a whole process. So as I mentioned here, as we talked about this, my parent task is the deliverable. This is what we are completing for either our team or for one of our clients. And if I want to see progress, if I want to sort of communicate all in one place, this is important to do inside of ClickUp. A lot of times people just have a parent task with nothing else underneath it, and they assign this to multiple people, and there's really no way to track any progress or sort of track what people are working on. Within this, I'm able to pass work back and forth between my team. And so let me show you now what the new task view does for this. So if I'm Andrew, and this is my task for this blog post for Paper 101 for Dunder Mifflin, he'll click into this task. And now what he does, if there's a description here, which is always super important to have a description or some checklist items to kind of make the process live where the work gets done, you'll use your task descriptions for sort of the how-tos of how to complete this step. You can link out to an SOP document. You can link out to a video of how to do it, or you can also use this to just write how to do it within this task as well. But he'll be able to either he'll go up to the parent task right here, as you can see, blog post paper 101, or he can navigate over here and he'll be able to see the whole workflow of everything that is happening across this process. So as you'll see here, he can see sort of what has been done, what's coming next, and everything is going to live over here in the left. So that makes it way easier to kind of come from one subtask to another, to the parent task, and just sort of navigate within that workflow right here from the task view. So the way that we would recommend teams use this now is that, again, all of my subtasks are the action steps that are being done to complete this blog post. In terms of communication across your team, instead of communicating inside of subtasks and breaking up the threads for what is happening, you want to make sure that you go to the parent task and all of the communication lives here. Your parent task essentially becomes the hub for communication for deliverable, as well as any assets or any additional items that are going to come into this. So yeah, I'll stop there, and Maggie, feel free to add any of your insights as you raise your hand.
Yeah, I want to answer a question. Ismail asked the question, what do we do about threads for comments? Because like Jeff just said, we really strongly encourage people to use the parent task as the communication hub for the entire project, mainly for visibility purposes. People should be included in conversations about the work that they're working on. Also, you maintain access to that entire legacy of information at the parent task level, as long as that task stays open. So for example purposes, if Andrew had written a comment on his subtask, write blog outline, the moment he closes that subtask, because he's done doing that particular activity, that conversation is gone. It's no longer easily accessible. So having all of that conversation happening at the parent task level ensures everyone maintains access to information needed. However, Ismail's question is, what do you do for threads? First and foremost, if you want to have threaded comments, you have to make sure that that Click app is turned on. Dang, Zoom emoji has kicked in. You want to make sure that your threaded comments Click app is turned on inside of your workspace, so you can in fact have threaded comments. I am noticing that there is some threaded comment buggy behavior inside the notifications inbox, and also in activity views. Threaded comments aren't always reliably coming in. However, I am seeing consistent behavior with threaded comments inside the task itself. And that is the most reliable and scalable way to contain information as you're carrying out the various activities for that particular project. I've seen where people essentially have one threaded comment per subtask. So if there's a question about write the blog outline, that's a new thread. If there's a question about proof blog copy, that's a new thread. So being able, a couple weeks ago, we had the webinar about Slack, where people said, oh, we would create a Slack channel for every single project we did. That's horrifying. That's so much maintenance. You should instead be translating that same hierarchy of conversation into the parent task. And fortunately now, ClickUp AI has the ability to summarize all of the information in that comment thread. So as you're leaving weeks, days, months worth of comment activity in that particular parent task, you'll be able to summarize the entire thing so that you can not read the entire thing.
Which can be super important for maybe if you have a team member that leaves very, very long comments that are difficult to read all of them, can definitely be super, super helpful with ClickUp AI, which we'll get into a little bit more later in this webinar. But great add. The other things that I'd add to this, yes, with threaded comments, but again, this is super important because anytime, like if there's a deliverable within this deliverable, like a featured thumbnail or even the actual writing of the blog post here, if you get it all in one place, it's going to make it way easier for anyone in your team to come into this. If their process and sort of their workflow is, I know I need to go to the parent task because that's where I'm going to get any additional context to what is happening. They're going to just, that's going to be second nature to them. They're going to do it. And then they're going to come here and see, like, I mean, a big important piece is this is like a lot of times teams might go into a task. They think they know what the client needs, but maybe the account manager didn't communicate well with them, and then they do it and then it's actually wrong. And then they have to do it again. Really might be on your dime there. It's super important to make sure that they get it done faster and right the first time. So this is going to be a great way to help with that, to make sure that, again, they come to the parent task, they see any context that they need for the client. That's going to be here, and they'll kind of navigate there, and then they'll get to their task and get it done. But as you'll see here, if I come, it's Jeff Safer at Jeff Safer. Sorry, I'm just setting up this demo. I talk with myself sometimes. But anyways, if I come here, the blog post is all going to be linked out to there. I can see the blog post here inside of ClickUp Paper 101. I have it all written out. So that way it's, again, linked out of one place. As you'll see, that can also live over here if I link to a doc. So again, it makes it very easy if I'm linked to any tasks, to any documents, to any other additional resources. Like maybe there is maybe you write this inside of Google Drive. In a Google Doc, you can link to that as well from here. Maybe there's a Figma board, a Canva design there. It can all link out from the parent task. So this really becomes the hub for communication, as well as any additional assets or resources that your team's going to need to know about inside of this.
I want to also address Julie's question in the Q&A. She said, if comment threads are at the parent task, I'm worried about stuff getting lost in there. If you take a look next to the AI button at the top of the activity feed, there's a magnifying glass that allows you to actually search for information in that comment thread. And so if your team is disciplined enough to use the parent task as the communication hub, then ClickUp's new features allow you to actually utilize that information. You can search for it here inside of this single task, or the Command Central or search feature inside of ClickUp also allows you to search inside of comments as well. So all that
when in doubt, Command K, right?
Command K, you got, or the S key. I want to make sure that we're still able to answer everybody's questions. I'm looking here at all of the different questions in the QA. You guys are killing it with really good questions right now.
Yeah, that's great. Let's have a look. I'm seeing Craig's question. I feel like that one we should leave kind of for the end because it'll be a nice cherry on top. Default views for every folder at once. Do we want to do that one before we move on at least? Brooke's question.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, what's the question there?
Okay, so I'm going to read it out loud. Is there a way to create default views for every folder at once instead of having to click into each folder to create the default view for everyone? Is the answer Maggie? Okay.
I have
Take it away.
kind of a yes and no answer I can provide for you, Brooke. So if you create a folder template, for instance, inside of the delivery space, every single folder for every single client utilizes the same template, you can build those views into that template. So then every single time you deploy that folder, all those views are already configured for you. Second part to that answer, you can create view templates. And so every type of view that there is, board view, list view, all the views, you can save that view configuration, all the settings, group by, filters, subtasks. It can all be saved as a template. And so then if you retroactively want to apply a new default style of view, you will have to go backwards in time and manually update that view inside of all those locations. There is no template inside of ClickUp that can be rolled out across all previously used versions of that template. That is mostly to protect you and your data. If you're making huge changes to templates, whether it's task list, doc, view, and then you roll it out, all the stuff that was previously there is sitting there going like, what? This is new? What am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to morph? Data doesn't morph. The software doesn't morph. So you will have to retroactively apply that view template to any location previously deployed.
Gotcha. Hope that answers the question, Brooke. I'm going to ask Jeff if you have anything to add here. Otherwise, I think we'll kind of go forward with the agenda. Jeff?
No, I mean, all I always add is just note with your templates, the way that they're built is, again, you can build a template at any level of the hierarchy. It could be a space template, folder template, list template. The beauty of like a folder template, as Maggie was saying, is you have views at a folder level. You also have views at a list level. So if you want those default views for everyone built at the folder and all of your lists to really have a standardized structure, that's super powerful, because then now I can build all of my views here into the folder. I can build up my list structure with any tasks in here as well. And then I can also have the views at the list level as well. And I can just build all of those settings in here. So that way I just have that template. I deploy it over and over and over again. All those views default for everyone. Whatever settings are in that template will come with it, again, to make that way easier to deploy that. Again, there's nothing you can do about it if you've already deployed all that. But for the future, build that out so you have your structure and everything set up there. It's going to be very, very powerful for your team there.
Great, great. Thank you for adding that in. And I'm looking at the time. We're kind of halfway in here. Nicole, I am seeing your question. Please move it from the chat to Q&A. That's one. And two, it's kind of specific. So we'll take it on if there isn't more questions, and or if you get some thumbs up under the questions, because they're kind of, we're accumulating them over time. But for now, I think it would be good to move on to the next part, like of the main agenda. I think a lot of people would like to hear about, I think the inbox is next. So let's cover some of.
Yeah, especially as Jeff's talking about using the parent tasks as the communication hub. And then even the question, somebody asked the question, why do you change the status of the parent task if it's a deliverable? A lot of that information within the workspace will be found in your inbox. So the inbox is one of the most, if not the most, central communication hub inside of ClickUp. And you should be using your inbox as the information superhighway to everything inside of ClickUp that you care about. So Jeff, if you click into that inbox, for anybody who was on 2.0, the notifications feed used to look a lot like the original Facebook feed, where it was just chunks of information and you couldn't sort through it. The only thing that you could do is essentially read it, leave it, or clear it. Now you actually have the ability to segment certain parts of this information. At the top, you can see important, other, snoozed, cleared. There's also filters that you can apply. Again, well, not again. Importantly, with your inbox, you do have to diligently set your notifications for your individual user profile in ClickUp. ZenPilot has a lot of feelings about that. because we know that the inbox is one of the most important parts of how you work with your team. So when your team members are leaving comments at the parent task level, that information will arrive here inside of your inbox. You can see where Jeff has been tagged, and he can click into that notification and see the full context of that comment, and he can actually take action on it as well. You can see that he's hitting the details button. And now you can see the whole content of the subtask too. And so if you were like flying by the seat of your pants and you're attending to 17 different client needs in the same day, you could feasibly live inside of your inbox and continue projects moving forward, just because the functionality inside of this has expanded a whole bunch. You have the ability to actually respond to, take action, change the status of. The interior of the inbox is so much more functional than ClickUp 2.0 notifications. There's also the other tab at the top, which is much less actionable. Here you can see where ClickBot activity has taken place, dependencies have become blocked or unblocked, status changes, tasks have been closed. This is more like transactional information that you may not need to take action on. The inbox, the important inbox itself, is where the real meat and potatoes lives. At ZenPilot, we strongly recommend that you spend the majority of your time in the inbox. I think Kuba even put in the chat that he has 2 ClickUp tabs open all the time.
Yeah.
Inbox, dang it, I did the Zoom thing. ClickUp tab for inbox and one for his My Task View. Me too, at all times, 100% of the day. That way, I am both reliably responding to my team via comments or things that have come up in my inbox, while also having the My Task View at the everything level be my checklist of all the stuff that I need to get done for the day. Jeff, how do you use the inbox? How do you use the new features of it?
Yeah, so I started off using it, and I mean, because all the communication is here, it's super helpful for me to kind of go and just reply just like this. But what I've noticed is over time, if there's a bunch of comments that get on here, it can be a little confusing because the way that this is laid out, like I don't have a bunch of comments in here for you to actually see that, but sometimes it can be a little bit confusing because you don't know what sort of they're referring to. And the way that it threads replies sometimes in the inbox, as I said, can be a little bit confusing. But now every time I come to a comment, what I do is, again, if our parent tasks are the communication hub, I'm able to click open these details just like this. I see it, as you can see now, my task details are here with all the subtasks, the details, action items. But I come over here to activity to kind of see, is there anything else I need to think about? Like now I can see sort of all the threads of communication that are happening. And now I can actually go and reply here. So instead of me replying directly inside of my inbox, I open up those details and then I pull up the threads and everything that's happening here, because I just find sort of the layout and the way that I'm commenting a bit easier here. And because then I can see more and really know what all is happening before I go and leave that comment. So I highly recommend, again, it sometimes it can be hidden, but just click on the details there. It opens up the task that this is a part of. And again, if it's in the parent task, it all should be there. So all the context, that way your team doesn't have to go and navigate from place to place to place. It's just in one place for them to kind of come here, see all the activity, leave a comment, just like that. And I think a cool thing that most people probably know in ClickUp, but I'm not sure if everyone does, is if you actually put sort of your ad designs or even videos here inside of ClickUp, you can come here. And I find this super powerful because I've had so much, like I've built creatives and ads and videos and things like that. And then people leave comments on it, but you don't know what exactly they're referring to. So a super powerful and feature inside of ClickUp is the ability for me to actually go and add a comment. And I can say like, hey, this image doesn't make sense because Ryan has a Cheeto in his mouth or something like that. So it's very powerful to leave comments on exactly what you're talking about. Again, this works for graphics. This works for video. So definitely build these into your workflow so that your team, again, knows exactly what you're talking about, because then the next revision that they do is going to be much more accurate, much better than it would be if they didn't know precisely what you're referring to in your comment. So that's another thing that you should take note of in using ClickUp.
Could you actually show what you were showing just a moment ago? Like, I find it great that you know, for my day-to-day workflow, what I could do is not only can I select the part of the image that I want to talk about, but I could also like record myself just talking about my impressions of it instead of trying to put it into words. That's so huge that this is possible. And some of those I think are also on the mobile app. So that's great to see. Okay, Brooke asked, and I just wanted to make sure that we covered this before I close the question. What's the difference between important and other in the inbox? Could one of you like 2-sentence summarize this, in, you know, just for Brooke's convenience here?
Yeah,
I mean, Maggie,
inbox
wanna
is
go
what
for
you
it?
care about. Other or important is what you care about. Other is noise, quite frankly.
Yeah.
In my personal working flow inside of ClickUp, I hit clear all on the other section multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I would add to that is like after you respond to something, if you click E, that's going to go and archive it. So it's not going to be there anymore. Again, if you want to go to your cleared, you'll be able to see that again if you need to repop that up, and you can unclear it just like that. But as Maggie was saying, like important, think of this as your email inbox. Again, this is where you're going to spend a lot of time, because if you're communicating only in ClickUp, all of it should be here. You shouldn't have to go to other different tools, which is going to help with productivity, help with collaboration as well. But again, this is what's important. This is your email inbox. Go through. We always recommend inbox 0, sort of at the end of the day, make sure that this is cleared so you're not missing anything. And then other, really, again, as Maggie said, what I do once a day is I kind of go through these. Do I need to know a bunch of this stuff? Is it unblocked? That's great. I'm just going to kind of go through and I can just have my finger on the E key and just kind of go and clear a bunch of these. Or again, you can clear all if you don't think you need to see any of that, but sometimes there might be something in there that could be kind of important. But definitely you're going to be living out of here. Other is just like noise, as Maggie said.
Let's make sure, I want to make sure that we're talking about the home screen, because that's a really big new one.
Okay, so let's do this home screen next. Then we've got a few questions to go through. If you want to stick within our time limit, and I think the home screen might be the last one, and then we'll go into Q&A and have to slowly finish. Like, we should have probably planned more time for this. We'll do a part 2, likely, given the interest. But yeah, let's talk about home.
Yeah, as Kuba said, we can always do a part 2. We're focusing right now most on the stuff that's going to be big for your whole team. There's some parts of ClickUp 3.0, like the custom field manager, the automations manager, that's going to be more important for project managers or sort of maybe your admins that are actually setting some of this stuff up. But a lot of this is going to have a big impact on your team. Again, this is going to come with training. This is going to come with making sure that they have all this set up and they sort of know your workflow. So focus on that. Again, we always talk about healthy habits or what make a system work. If you don't have those healthy habits, you're not going to get the data that Kuba showed you at the beginning of this webinar with sort of the profitability reporting. That's what builds visibility. That's what actually gets a good system in here. So a lot of this stuff is going to help build that. But moving over to the home screen now. So this is a big improvement. Before, the home screen was what ClickUp really taught you of, this is how you kind of see your tasks. This is how you complete your to-dos, things like that. However, the reason it wasn't as powerful as it was built to be is before you just had a My Work tab that looked like this. There was also some other things within it, but the big part was the My Work tab. So you had to do, you had done, you had delegated, which we don't use delegated really at all in the Zen palette methodology. But as you can see here, the big thing that was wrong in our eyes was that today's work came before overdue work. So if I have overdue work below my today's work, I'm not prioritizing that. And that's just going to fall overdue and more overdue. And just, again, you're just going to get a whole backlog of items that should have been done. And that's how things slip through the cracks. So again, it had today's work, it had overdue's work. In addition, I had no ability to customize this at all. So I couldn't sort of show a time tracker on here. I couldn't adjust anything here. I also couldn't filter anything, because you might have tasks in your workspace that are sort of non-actionable items or records that maybe you don't necessarily need to see inside of your My Work tab, and you want to kind of have some filters, settings, and customizations. So we always built a My Tasks view at the everything level, and I'll go back to the home view in a second to kind of show you how that would be laid out in there. But the reason that the My Tasks is important is because now what I'm able to do is I can group by due date. I can show my subtasks as separate tasks, because remember, we're working out of the subtasks. So I need to make sure that those are shown as separate tasks. I can also add filters. So if I want to show just where the assignee is me, I can show some locations. I can filter out some if I don't need them to be in my task view. In addition, I can also adjust the columns here. So this is important because now, as we talked about, I can come in here and let's get past these overdues. Again, this is a demo portal. I'm not this far behind, don't you worry. But as you can see, I can come in here and I can see my task. I can click on it. I'll now be able to see all the subtasks. I can click up to the parent task. And again, it's just that workflow. It's very easy for me to navigate there. In addition, now what I can do is I'll see my work. I'll see the priority. Again, this is all built on due dates being the DO date. So this is when I should get it done. That's another big part of the XenPalette system, our methodology. If you utilize priority flags, you can use those as well. I'll see the time estimate for how long this should take. And then I can go and I can track my time right here. So these sections are super, super important because now I can track time right where the task lives. I can jump into my task. If I have a task description, if I built my processes as well, I can, again, see how to do this. And then I can navigate to the parent task for any additional context that I need. So the My Task view is very powerful. Again, this is built at the everything level so that your whole team can see work across all of your spaces. They can customize this how they want, add any additional columns, and it's just much easier. And in addition, as you can see here, I can also show some breadcrumbs to know sort of where this lives, the space, the folder, the list, as well as the parent task that this is a part of. So that's the reason we use the My Task view. However, now in the home view, it's gotten a bit better because now I can come here, as you'll see, I can group by due date. So now I can see overdue before today's work, which is important. I can break those subtasks as separate tasks. These are already going to be filtered to just those that are assigned to me. And I can also use the filter. So this home view has definitely gotten a lot better. You can use it. I'm still believe in the My Task view. That's just how I've done things. And that's what I'm going to use because that's just what I've kind of grown with inside of ClickUp. But this is way more sort of built. Like, as you can see, now I can add columns and kind of customize this to my liking. So this can be very powerful. Maggie, I'll throw over to you before I say a few more additional things, just in case you have any good insights into this.
Yeah, I want to answer one technical question about custom fields and it relates to this home view. So an anonymous attendee asked, are there any custom fields that you would recommend on a workspace level? And the answer is no. There are some that we consider necessary, like task type. That's inside of every space. Client is inside most every single space. Client lead is inside only your delivery space. So it's important to understand how custom fields work. And it's equally as important to understand that if you were to come into your My Task or home view and add that column where the little plus sign is over yonder, it doesn't necessarily allow you to see every single custom field that you may want to see in an overarching manner. But if you come to the everything view and add in these custom fields, you have to be very careful that you're not adding in these custom fields at the workspace level. Because if you suddenly needed like question status, if you wanted to see question status on some of these tasks in your My Task view, you just added the custom field question status to the entire workspace. And that's a bummer. You do not want to do that. So are there any custom fields that you would recommend on a workspace level? Jeff, do you? Like, that scares me. I add custom fields at the space level.
And the reason that is because if you think about it, like the way that you break up, and it really depends on sort of the complexity of the system that you have built inside of ClickUp. But if you think about like in the future, if you go and you build out sort of a CRM space inside of ClickUp, and as you'll see here, I have custom fields that are built just for the CRM. So we have like status, we have service, we have health, we have objectives, so on and so forth. I only want those custom fields to live in this location. And that's the same for all of your custom fields. If you build into the workspace level, if I have a custom field that, again, it's at the workspace level or at the everything level here, those custom fields will then live on all these tasks in here. Doesn't mean that they're not populated, but it's just going to add noise. It's just going to add sort of messiness and complexities to your workspace. So it's very important. And that's why we build spaces the way that we do. The hierarchy is super important because the custom fields matter within those. So a lot of those custom fields, again, should only live at the space level. If you have a custom field that's the same custom field that lives in two different spaces, those will be combined when it comes to a dashboard or report for filtering purposes. And that's another sort of tip for you. We actually use, as you can see, I have emojis in here, which some people are like, oh, that's cute, like super visual. Good job, ZenPilot. But no, they're actually important, because then when you go to dashboards and things like that, if you've ever actually built out a dashboard or a view inside of ClickUp, that helps you, because you'll kind of group all those together and I'll see all those custom fields. And if this emoji means something, then it'll group those fields together. I'll know exactly what field that is. And it just makes it way easier from a sort of UI standpoint for your team to use those for filters and dashboards and things like that. So again, emojis can be helpful too and things like that.
Our solutions team will tell you emojis are not for decoration. They are for information.
Yeah, I feel that in my bones. I've been using them in the same way, just marking things with an emoji to make sure kind of I know what category they belong to. Alrighty, so
I'll just Can I just add something to the custom fields, because that question was asked? So depending on your ClickUp plan, if you're on Business Plus or if you're on Enterprise, you are able to, if you have the custom field manager. And again, this is, maybe we can jump into this in another webinar even more, but the custom field manager is going to be great, because you'll be able to see sort of your custom fields. As you'll see, we don't have any at the workspace. But if I had one, I would be able to move it down a level. Before, without the custom field manager, you were not able, well, you could, but basically our solutions team would come in and put two identical custom fields next to each other, remap all the values to the new one. And it took hours and hours and hours, depending on how many tasks you had in your system. But now you are able to take a workspace custom field. So if you are in Business Plus or Enterprise, go check this right now in your custom field manager if you have any workspace level custom fields. And if you do, I'd recommend, feel free to get in touch with us if you need help with any of this, but I'd recommend you take those and kind of put them into a space. So to do that, it's pretty easy. I don't have, again, any at the workspace level, but you are able to take these. And if you come over here, or sorry, click on this custom field here, you are able to move them to a separate location. So as you can see here, I can go ahead and I can change that location to wherever I want it. Sometimes you might have to remap some of those values, but that just helps kind of navigating and putting a custom field where it should actually live.
I want to add that even though the custom field manager is a huge upgrade, it has a steep learning curve. So don't like go buck wild with custom fields inside your workspace and assume that it will be an easy fix. There are still things that you need to know technically how it works, so that you don't introduce a like custom field zombie invasion that can't be stopped.
Yeah, custom fields are more important than people think. Oftentimes when we audit a workspace, the custom fields are the first thing that we look at, and we notice, wow, you have 1,000 different custom fields, not sure if all those values mean anything, and we'll kind of go and clean those and figure out what you actually need. So yeah, this is great. We'll put a training together at some point. We can talk about this in another webinar, but this is, the custom field manager is great. Again, you can have it in any plan here, but Business Plus as well as Enterprise are the ones that are actually going to be able to sort of merge and move custom fields around. So just take note of that in your whatever ClickUp plan you have. You might have some limited functions within the custom field manager.
Okay. Do you think, Maggie, Jeff, at this point, we could get into the rest of the questions as we wrap up here? Okay. Sure. So first of all, so you two look through the chat there. I wanted to just drop a quick note to everybody who's online live right now. I dropped in the chat some links for you if you want to book a call with us and get on the fastest path to visibility and efficiency. You want to reach that view that I showed you at the beginning of having all of your profitability information in one place. It is possible, and you'll become much more efficient and process driven in the process. Pun not intended. That's the first call. That's the first link to book a call with us. Also, I've got a freebie for you today. We've got the ClickUp bundle for you, which includes our ClickUp for Agencies guide, a great intro to the ZenPilot system, especially if you want to self-implement, which we do sometimes see. So that's zenpilot.com/ClickUp-bundle. Check it out. It's in the chat right now. Finally, if you're a smaller organization or a solopreneur, we've got the ClickUp for Agencies playbook. That's kind of a middle of the road. There's this is a paid option, but you do get a ton of our templates, a ton of training, and also depending on the tier you go with, you also can get a consultation with us there. So I didn't want the chat to miss that, because that's an opportunity to get a lot more value from us, especially the ClickUp bundle. That's free. Go grab it. There's a few things in there. Check out the landing page. And with that, we'll devote probably the rest of this to Q&A, try to answer as many questions as possible. Jeff, Maggie, you had a little bit of time to give this a think. So which questions shall we take first?
Well, there was one question I think Maggie brought up that I don't think we fully answered, and that was why do you change the status of the parent task? So I want to talk about why that was like actually super important. So the way that this works, again, status is another big thing within ClickUp Workspaces, that people have different statuses on every location within their ClickUp Workspace, which is a big no-no. Don't let your statuses become the reality where a project is. Like, use those subtasks again to pass work back and forth, instead of this being a lengthy status field where then again you're using that as sort of the source of truth. The way that we use them here at ZenPilot is basically every task, because these are all broken up into sort of bite-sized pieces. Every task is sort of like one user in one sitting with a time estimate less than 4 hours. Again, the due date is the DO date there. So all of these should be either to do or complete, like 99% of the time. But the parent task can be changed, because as you can see here, if I come here and say I send this to the client, and then I mark the parent task as in-client review, that just gives an overview to account managers or a leadership to see where all these tasks are. So then I use the power of ClickUp Views, and I can come here to the delivery space. And the way that this works is now I can see sort of all the tasks across all of these folders. And so if I wanted to create sort of an account manager view, where essentially Steve, who's my account manager, wanted to see all of sort of the deliverables that we're doing for all of our clients, Schrute Farms, Dunder Mifflin, and the Michael Scott Paper Co., he can see sort of the status of each of these. So this one's in-client review, this one's blocked. He'll be able to see sort of the progress of those based off of the subtasks. And then also another cool AI feature inside of ClickUp is this AI summary field, which basically what that does, it'll give him an update. As you can see some of these down here, if someone completes a task, if they leave comments, I can easily go and just generate a summary of everything that's happening across this deliverable if it's in that parent task subtask structure. Maggie.
So from this screen, we can also answer the anonymous attendee's question about how does ZenPilot deal with manager, quality check, assurance, and approvals. Jeff, if you pop open one of those tasks, you'll see that these subtasks account for those steps in the process. Send blog to client for review, complete internal review, post client feedback of the blog for the next step. So when you're thinking about how to build those steps in, they can be included in your process templates. Now, I don't want anybody to think that a process template is a 100% signed, sealed, delivered, cannot be edited or touched ever again type of thing. Process templates are meant to be moving, breathing, flexible things within the guardrails and rules of a template. So if you are utilizing a template for a blog post, for instance, and it's a particular client who does not ever want to see it, you have full-blown approval to do whatever the heck you want, after you deploy this task template, you can remove those subtasks from the flow and adjust due dates and dependencies accordingly. The template still saves you an astronomical amount of time in thinking, because all 22 subtasks have already been thought of. But if you only need 19 of them for this particular project, you can simply eliminate those subtasks after you've deployed this template into the delivery space. The idea behind a template is that it should apply like 85% of the time in full, and the other 15% of the time, it can be adjusted to fit reality.
Yeah, and this is going to help with workload and things like that too, because then you get your time estimates sort of planned out in the future with those assignees. The only other thing I'll add to that is, as you can see here, I didn't have in the other example, but if you have rounds of revision sort of built in to sort of your engagements with your clients, you can add those to your templates as well. So if there's always a standardized like round 1 and round 2, you can build those in just like this, or this one I have 3 rounds. But this is sort of a basic workflow of what it could look like. As you can see, things are passed back and forth, sending to clients, reviewing, rounds of revision, all of that should be built into your templates like that.
So while we're on the subject, we can answer a couple more questions. Julie Bell asked the question, how much, if any, do you use the feature to send emails to a task? So let's pretend that you are sending review requests to your clients via email and they reply back to you via email. We at ZenPilot utilize the browser extension that attaches an email to a task versus emailing that email to the task. I find that it's just a lot cleaner and more reliable. There's less like email address creation that you have to do inside of ClickUp for that to work correctly. So I'm often, the only time I'm linking emails to tasks is with the ClickUp browser extension, that you can either attach this email to a task or attach this email to a shiny new task that doesn't even exist yet. We do that a lot, especially when it comes to like the operational side of things. If we've got certain team members who are running, let's say, like the billing side of the business, and I need to be aware of it on the delivery side of the business, they can attach those emails to the task and I can be aware of it without having to crack into somebody else's email inbox. It's all there centralized inside of ClickUp.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that, the one time and internally, this is what we do. Like we have a CRM. Again, this is most focused on your delivery team, but all of these are basically sent over from HubSpot. We have YouTube videos that maybe we can link out to or send you all if you're interested. So please let us know if you are, of how to kind of set up HubSpot to ClickUp for sort of onboarding tasks, sales, delivery, handoff. But all of our sort of active deals that we're working with go into sort of the CRM in the deals list. And then we actually use sort of some onboarding emails and things like that. That's when we'll send them out of ClickUp. And some of that's automated, but that's kind of the only like place that we actually go and use the emails from ClickUp tasks is in there. And again, that's sort of just the onboarding emails that kind of get threaded within the comments here on these tasks. But other than that, sometimes it's a little bit difficult because you only really have like 2 seats. You could pay for more, but that's where it gets a bit difficult. If you have a support at or sort of a home base for everyone to use some kind of email like that, it might be helpful, but it really depends on how you want to build that out.
So to answer the second question that's related to this, Desiree asked the question, where should one share lengthy feedback, say from a client? Should it be at the parent task or a comment as a comment, or do you add that to the task description? That's a really good question. I'm so glad that your first inclination was to ask, should it go at the parent task? So yes, you got that part right. And I think that leaving it as a comment is perfectly acceptable. And you can format comments inside of ClickUp the same way that you can inside of descriptions and docs. And so making it explicitly clear that this is feedback from the client in either your formatting or however you want to lay it out is super helpful. I will tell you that I go overboard, and it's not difficult to go overboard in over communicating. So not only should you post that comment at the parent task level, so future content creators on that project can see the feedback, I will also link that comment from the parent task to the subtask where the person needs it most. I like to eliminate any sort of guessing, like, did this come up? Where should this be? What's most up to date? I will leave a legacy of information at the parent task, but then I'll also spoon feed people information and at least link them to the parent task comment that they need to be referencing. But I don't add things to a task description often, because that's where like SOP information lives. That's where any sort of links to relevant docs should originally live. And I don't want to dilute any of that information with feedback that came up later on. I don't know, Jeff, do you have a different philosophy on that?
No, I would say that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, so if you want to, in terms of client communication, because I know we're running out of time here, we're actually over time right now. We actually did just release a YouTube video today on a way that you can communicate with clients inside of ClickUp. So you can go ahead and watch that. Essentially what you do is set up like a shared client list, and you can actually use like tasks as a way to centralize client communication with your clients. So you can invite them into this list so they can see that, and they can kind of leave comments here as well. So that's one way of doing it. Again, feel free to watch that video on our channel. We can send that out if anyone's interested in that in terms of how you can bring your clients sort of into ClickUp to communicate with you. The only other piece I'd add to it is another important piece. And this is mainly, again, focusing on your client folder templates that we talked about earlier in this webinar here. But you'll want to, within that folder template, have docs where essentially you are going to store client overviews. All this information, again, makes the sales and delivery handoff that much better and centralizes all that for your team to kind of know tech stack, client notes, client questionnaire, Loom overview from the sales team, all in one place. In addition, all of your agendas and notes will go into this. And so the reason this is important, because if your account managers take good notes from those meetings, then all of this lives here that everyone can see it, and say there's something super important that this is very relevant to a specific deliverable, I can actually go and I can copy this block link. So what I can do is, okay, there's a bunch of text here. What I can do, copy that block link, and then let's go and say that this is a big part of this case study. I can actually go and paste this in here, and it's going to give someone a nice sort of link to that. They're going to see sort of what's the topic, what's that piece of information that I need to know, and then I can go directly to that agenda document with all the notes there for more context. So again, bringing it all into one place, as Maggie said, parent task is that single source of truth, but then you can link out to the subtasks and things like that to make sure people don't miss things, just to give them a little extra nudge if they need that. But this is where everything should live to make it easy for your team to communicate and collaborate.
All right, thanks for that. I think we'll take one or maybe max two more questions to wrap up here. I'll defer to your judgment, Jeff, Maggie. Do we want to take the one that's been asked kind of the earliest here?
Yeah.
I do want to hit Craig's question probably last, so one more and then Craig's. What do you say?
Okay, that sounds good. Did everyone just use ClickUp? And no, Sarah, I hate the Mac app. I don't use the Mac app at all. The question about whether everyone uses ClickUp in the browser versus the Mac app, I use the browser. The Mac app makes me angry. Additionally, when people send you links to ClickUp, it will automatically open the browser. It does not default to open the app. And so I just never downloaded the app.
Yeah, use the browser. That is I have a whole separate window set up of my browser where I have like 4 groups of tabs all color coded. And it's all ClickUp tabs. I have a whole separate workspace on my Mac just for ClickUp tabs, and it works pretty well. Yeah,
the common marketer's problem, where you'll see I have 3 tabs up here, but sometimes you screen share with someone and people have like 30. I wouldn't recommend that. Don't have too many tabs open, but sometimes it is helpful with the desktop app, on this browser here, for me to have a couple, especially if you're using like some stuff with Google Docs and Google Sheets. That way it's easy for me to go from one thing to the next, and it's just much easier, especially if you have like embedded views and stuff in here. You're signed into Google. That way it's easier for me inside of the browser. Again, it's all personal preference. There's no better or worse way. It's dependent on your personal workflow, but I like to have tabs at the top.
And actually, my pro tip would be, the favorites tab in ClickUp is super useful, but it does take up a little bit of the real estate there. What I found myself doing for some of the stuff that I want to revisit daily is I just use the bookmarks bar in my browser, and I have a folder, or I think at this point 2, set up just for, the places on ClickUp that I want to revisit often, and it saves me a little bit of extra space in the ClickUp view itself. So you might want to try that. Just another way in which the browser version is superior. I'm going to mark Sarah's question as answered.
There's Craig's question.
Let's do Craig's question and probably wrap up because we're running out of time here. Who's going to take that one? It feels like an honor.
I think we all need to answer it. So the question is, I've been using ClickUp for about 1.5 years, and really it is the best thing since sliced bread. I agree, Craig. I say that when I met in ClickUp 5 years ago, I sold my soul to ClickUp. So I totally agree with you. Craig says that he sees ClickUp as the PM tool that is light years away from others, and ClickUp is extremely robust and very, very granular in capability, but how to express ClickUp superiority for others to grasp? That's a really lovely question, because it shows that you've got a lot of awareness that not everybody can agree with you, Craig, which sometimes I forget that not everybody agrees with me, especially Jeff, because, bless him. But one of the great things about ClickUp is that it not only is possible to be very granular, which is helpful when you've got multiple teams with multiple processes and not everybody works the same way, but it is somewhat standardized. You can also use ClickUp for teams that aren't that sophisticated in terms of their complexity. For instance, we work with 4-person teams. The entire company comprises of 4 people, and we can make ClickUp work for them. ClickUp can suit their needs, but then we also work with implementation teams of more than 100 employees, and they have more than 1,000 clients, and ClickUp can serve them as well. It really is possible to do anything and everything inside of ClickUp. And they're working really hard to not just be one app to rule them all, but one functional tool that works in all the ways that it needs to. They're not trying to solve world hunger. They're trying to solve project management within companies. And so they're really, really focused on making sure that the solutions and features that they put into the tool are actually usable and useful. Otherwise, you know, you've just got a shiny piece of software that your team has access to that's not helpful. So
The
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to add to this, Craig. This is where it's super helpful to have sort of show your team and ask the right questions. Like we always talk about, I mean, the power of ClickUp, in my opinion, is really the visibility that can be achieved if you build your system right. And so a lot of that, like you can kind of talk about it all you want. Like you can get visibility for leadership, you can get visibility for your project managers, you can start to see workload, whatever it may be. But like that's where, if you need help with that, like if you want us to kind of walk through a demo of what sort of a final product, a final solution in ClickUp could look like, because a lot of times if you're just in a blank workspace, it's kind of hard to show that value of what it can actually bring. But ClickUp has the power to build the visibility. Like if your leadership team wants to actually understand workload, if they want to see sort of that project progress across sort of all of your different clients and things like that, that's where they really win. I mean, ClickUp is so customizable. Like you can build it really any way you want, but the way that we've built it at Zenpilot is built for especially client services teams that are again serving those clients, and they want to see sort of a high level overview of all those projects going across multiple clients. If you want to see things like profitability. So again, it's all built like the way that to communicate that value is to show your team what it could look like in the future state. So again, if you need any help with that, please let us know. I'm working on creating some videos. We have one out there on YouTube of how to implement ClickUp for agencies, which is sort of a demo of what a final ClickUp setup could look like for agencies, but I'm working on sort of more for different teams and different use cases. So feel free to show it, like talk to us about what your use case is, and we could try to put together sort of a show and tell to help communicate that value to your team.
Okay, awesome. Anything more to add? Because if not, I'll talk about our goodies here just for an extra second. Okay, then. Well, that wraps up the Q&A, and I'm sorry that we couldn't get to all of the questions this time around. We're already 12 minutes over time, so we'll be finishing in just a moment here. I didn't want you to miss the ClickUp bundle, though, so do make sure that you go to zenpilot.com/ClickUp bundle. You'll get our ClickUp for Agencies guide, very much like our iPhone of content, at least, you know, in terms of getting a full walkthrough of the Zenpilot system. I wanted to say flagship content, then I said iPhone of content. I am not proud of that one. Forgive me. You also get, you know, to have a real taste of the system, you also get a full client onboarding process template that is set up in the Zenpilot way. So you'll be able to see, you know, what this looks like in practice, and you also get our client journey template. So go to zenpilot.com/ClickUp bundle, and if you're thinking, you know, you want to cover actually all the 3 components that you need to create clarity for your organization and to implement gold standard project management, you need to cover the tools. We dove in, we got deep into the tools in this session. You also need to build the right habits and the right processes for your team to achieve that clarity. If you want help with that, if you want to go through our proven process for achieving that, we've helped 2,700 organizations and counting with that. Go to zenpilot.com/call. You'll have a short call with us, find out if we're a fit for each other. If not, we can suggest some other options you can go with. But if you find a way to increase your profitability to get real big ROI, we're aiming for like 4x first year ROI from the engagement with Zenpilot. If you find a way to do that, then we'll tell you on the call, after the call, and maybe we'll get to work together with some of the people on this call. I think 2 calls booked already before we stop streaming here. So thank you for that. Looking forward to talking with y'all. And that will be the end of this session. Just gonna check the chat real quick. Last time people are saying thank you for the awesome webinar. That's great. Yeah, stay tuned for more. Go to zenpilot.com, subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on socials. We've got a lot of content coming out there, clips of Jeff and Maggie and other Zen Pilot brains sharing what they know about ClickUp and teamwork.com and project management and agency operations, and a bunch more. We'll keep giving you good stuff as fast as we can produce it. That'll be it for today. Maggie, Jeff, let's say bye-bye. Happy holidays, everyone. And yeah, that'll be it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Where's the button actually to go? Do I go end meeting?
How do I?
Let's try that. End meeting. Bye-bye, everyone.